Alrighty, and just like that, the midweek action is done. We only get 4 hours of midweek action instead of the usual five, but I'm not complaining because that means I get to do this review relatively early, and by the time I finish writing up the notes on the board, it's still not relatively late when it comes to doing this review. It's actually just past 10 o'clock my time as I'm about to do the first part of this review. And no, I am not doing a 14 game review. For some that might think that I might be going crazy again and do a one take in terms of looking at all the games in one video. That's not happening. I mean, 12 games were already crazy enough to do one video. 14 is just absolutely insane. So, as always, I'm going to be splitting into two parts. First, look at the first 8 games, and then look at the last 6 game tomorrow as well. And it feels like, in terms of what we saw this midweek action, it's kind of your typical affair. There were a couple of games that went off the rail. There was a lot of goals that were scored, a lot of surprises as well. Especially tomorrow, we'll talk about some big surprises, including the bottom two teams actually got wins this this midweek. Things are kind of weird when you see the bottom two teams in the supporter or not the supporter shield, but the opposite of the supporter shield race, the wooden spoon race, got wins in the same week as well. But let us begin by first talking about the first game, which is Charlotte and NYCFC. And I'm not gonna lie, this game was boring. I mean, I'm just gonna straight up saying that this game was probably the least entertaining game out of all these midweek action that is. I mean, if you watch this game, no one would have believed me when I say that there was some crazy game that happened in the middle of the week, because yeah, this was just kind of a game between two teams that it's almost like they didn't really want to be there for this midweek action. Though we did see a goal though. Despite how boring this game was, there was a goal, and it came very early. As 8 minutes into this game, Fernandez Markel would score from Wolf and Ojeda to give NYCFC a 1-0 lead. It was also the first shot of the game as well, and one that, yeah, for Christian Kalina, he would want to have this one back. It was not hit relatively well for Fernandez Markel. I do think that Kalina, with the caliber of the goalkeeper he is, he's got to save that one. And that's the thing about Christian Kalina in these last couple of seasons. He's been very inconsistent, and it's almost like to a point where when he's bad, this Charlotte team is bad, and when he's good, this Charlotte team is doing good. Guess what happened right now with this Charlotte team? They're not doing very well, so it's no surprise Kalina is having his struggle lately. But yeah, just like that, it was 1-0 in favor of NYCFC. Little do we know that the first shot of the game would turns out to be the difference in this one. In the 22nd minute, the first shot for Charlotte, Schlegel puts it wide from long range. And as I said, overall, besides that opening goal, there was no shots whatsoever. That was only the second shot of the game. Charlotte did start to control this game a little bit, but again, not really creating much in the final third. In fact, half hour in, we were only at one shot apiece. We were stuck in two shots for both of these teams for a while. The third shot of the game came when Vargas heads it right to Freeze before Ojeda was in on goal there, but he could not quite find the target, and that is one that Augustino Ojeda would want to have back, because that was a big opportunity, but one that, for Charlotte so far, despite the limited chance that we saw in this one of the big problems for Charlotte in this game was they keep getting caught on the transition. I mean, that came off a lightning counter attack from NYCFC, and they almost made it 2-0. Freeze then denied Beal from close in the 43rd minute. There were definitely some concern when Matt Freeze went down, would look like an injury. He would continue though, which that definitely is to the delight of both NYCFC and U.S. men's national team fan, because not only NYCFC needs him for the rest of the season, but with the way that it'll be very interesting to see what the decision is going to be of whether or not is it going to be Matt Freeze or is it going to be Matt Turner. All we know is one of the goalkeeper that's going to be starting for the U.S. in the opening game of the World Cup will be named have a first name of Matt, but is it going to be Turner or is it going to be Freeze? That's going to be the difficult decision that Pochettino will have to make heading into this World Cup. But we do head to halftime with NYCFC leading 1-0 in the second half. You already know what happened in the second half. Not much really happened because it was a pretty boring game. Very low chances that were happening in this one. Vargas would puts it high on the curler before Tokomani thought he got the equalizer for Charlotte, but the problem was the flag did not agree with him, so the goal was chopped off for offside. Charlotte definitely started to woke up the second half, looking to try to get the equalizer. Wolf would then puts it into the side inning, but really as the time winds down, NYCFC, they were just kind of sitting back and try to this game out. And usually when you're the road team, and especially when it's a short week, that usually isn't a great thing to do. But you can afford to do that because Charlotte was just showing no father quality whatsoever in the last bit. I mean, there was just no pushback whatsoever from Charlotte, and as a result, it's another loss for the Charlotte FC. This has started to become very similar to what we saw last year, where last year around this time of the period, they go through that epic meltdown. Where remember last year at one point they were first in the East and dropped all the way down to 11th in the East and out of the playoff picture in just a month. It feels like it's deja vu all over again, isn't it, for the Charlotte team? Shots in this game, only 5 shots compared to the fourth that NYCFC had. There was only 9 shots. We didn't even hit a double-digit shot amount. That's probably the first time not only I've seen this season, but I think it's been a long time I've seen a game where both of these teams didn't even register their double-digit amount of shot. I mean, you have games in this one that have teams that actually register about 2 or 3 times more shots than what we saw combined for both of these teams. Yeah, it was just one of those games that happened. 2 shots on goal for the one that NYCFC had. Both teams had 2 shots that was off target. 1 shot was blocked, but then none that Charlotte has, and possessed wise 50% for both of these teams. And it's also important to not forget that this is actually officially the first win for NYCFC against Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium in the regular season. I know they did win against them in the playoffs last year at the Bank, but this is the first time they did it in the regular season. So yeah, for NYCFC, I mean, overall it was an ugly performance, but they'll take the 3 points. I mean, especially when you're the road team and you're able to grind out an ugly win, you'll definitely take that. But for Charlotte, like I said, this really feels like last season all over again, where it's usually around this time where the meltdown has started, and Dean Smith is better hope that they will somehow win 9 games in a row like they did last season. Because, yeah, I mean, I said that this team was a fraud in the beginning of the season when they were way up there in the standings. Not only they're proving me right, but now it feels like, as I said, it's a deja vu situation all over again of them going through a bit of a meltdown and going through just an absolute tailspin around this time of the year, just like they did last season. Now, moving on, in the next match is Orlando and the Philadelphia Union. And as I said, I promised that there were going to be games that got off the rails. This was definitely one of them. And it's kind of ironic the fact that Orlando almost uh, choke away this game, and the fact that just a couple of weeks ago they were on the happier end in terms of a historic comeback or a historic collapse if you're an Inter Miami fan perspective of what we saw. I mean, that would be kind of ironic the fact that Orlando just a couple of weeks ago would follow that by having their own self destruction in the hands of literally the worst team in the Eastern Conference right now. Now in the first half, Damiani would miss wide as that was the game's first shot. Ojeda was in on goal here, but he missed wide as that was Orlando's first shot as well. Crepeau would then tip Raffinello shot over before Danny John Jack hits it wide from close range. There was chances in this one. I mean, for both of these teams, even though there's been times where they have struggled on the attack, it definitely didn't look like it was the case. It looks like defense was kind of optional at time in this game. Ilowski would miss high from long range. The shots were 4-1 for the Union up to this point. They were looking to try to get a goal early on, but instead a penalty was given to Orlando as Rick brought down Ojeda there in the box. So here comes Tino Ojeda, chance to bury from the penalty spot. He usually doesn't miss from the spot, and he doesn't here. He buries it to give Orlando City a 1-0 lead. Ilowski did look to answer, but he hits this one wide. But then just a couple of minutes later, Griffin Dorsey would score his first goal for Orlando, and it was just criminal defending there from the Philadelphia Union. I mean, they just didn't clear this one away. They allow Orlando City to keep that ball in a dangerous spot, and eventually Dorsey punished them by that mistake. And just like that, Orlando were up 2-0 in this one. Martinez did look to answer, but he hits the post on the header before Crepeau denied Ilowski from close in the 6 minute stoppage time as the Union was pushing hard to try to get one back. But we do head to halftime with Orlando leading 2-0. In the second half, Ellis would puts it wide from close range before Ilowski puts it over from long range in the 53rd minute. But then a minute later, he would be on target as he scored from Hario and Sullivan to get one back for the Philadelphia Union. Crepeau would then deny Macanya from the corner before Hario would put one just high from long range, and you can just sense the momentum is with the Union. I mean, they were brewing something. Orlando, they were just kind of holding on, and Orlando has had their issue defensively this season. I mean, I've said before how they're on verge of giving up the most goal ever in MLS history. I mean, we could have a situation where we might see two teams that might give up the most goal in MLS history because besides Orlando being very bad defensively, yeah, there's that team called Sporting KC is also so giving up goals at will as well. And even actually not just that, but even a team in their same conference is giving up goals at will right now, which we'll talk about in just a bit. So there could be a case where a couple of years we had a couple of teams broke the 70 goal concede mark. I feel like this year we not only might get that again, but it might be even more. It might be 80 goals or 90 goals. We might see two teams or three teams might hit the 90 goals conceded, which is just crazy to see that, of course, happen. But that being said, in the 70th minute, Ojeda would then puts it wide from close, but then in the 72nd minute, Orlando we restored the 2-goal lead. It's Duncan McGuire. He scored from Spicer to make it 3-1 in favor of Orlando, and before Orlando feel like maybe they done enough to get all 3 points, Kevin Sullivan would score his first career MLS goal from Bender to make it 3-2 in this one. It was a lovely goal there from Kevin Sullivan, which you knew eventually he was going to score a goal. He's been so active for this Union team. In fact, he's literally the offense at times for this Union team as well. It's no wonder why this Union team has struggled so much when you're literally relying on a teenager to run the team. And I have no doubt that Kevin Sullivan will really dominate for this Union side and has U.S. men's national team caliber in the future as well. But you shouldn't be just relying on a teenager to be the main source of your attack. Angulo did look to answer, but he hits it right to Rake before Ojeda missed wide from close in the 79th minute. Orlando, I thought they did well responding and trying to get that two goal lead back, but instead, game was all tied in the 79th minute because Ben Bender would score from Kuznetsky to make it 3-3 in this one. It was also the first goal for Ben Bender in a Union shirt as well. He doesn't really get a lot of opportunity, but when he does, he definitely makes some big things. So yeah, that ties the game up at 3 apiece. The self destruction was on for Orlando City. I mean, this has really started to become something similar to what we see before, where when you get a two goal lead or even a 3 goal lead in the case of what we saw a couple weeks ago, yeah, it's not safe whatsoever. Crepeau would then deny Kuznetsky, who trying to get the lead for the Union. Before the post would deny Hariel from close. The Union, they were all over Orlando. I mean, you just kind of had a feeling this full meltdown that Orlando is incurred. It's inevitable. Eventually, they're going to concede that fourth to the Union. John Jack would then puts it over on the header, but then in the 90th minute, this was kind of completely unexpected. But at the same time, if you're a Union fan, you probably saw this coming. Martin Ojeda would restore the lead for Orlando, really completely against the run of play and the run of the momentum. He scored from Marine and Angulo to make it 4-3 in this one. Kruzanetsky did look to tie it again, but he hits this one wide before a rake denied Spicer from closing the 6 minute of stoppage time. But yeah, in the end, what a crazy game this turns out to be. Orlando, they look like they were on cusp of just going for a total meltdown. And yet, in the end, they somehow gathered themselves because that's just been that kind of season for the Philadelphia Union. This was actually one of their better attacking performances that they have shown. But what's been the big issue of why the Union are dead last right now in the East, besides bad defense? They simply cannot show their clinical finishing. And even when they do show their clinical finishing at times in this game, they still somehow find a way to lose the game. That's just how this season has gone for this team. But the shots in this one 24 shots for the 12 that Orlando City had, 7 shots on goal for the 6 that Orlando City has, 4 shots off target for the 9 that the Union has, 1 shot off block for the 5 that the Union has, and possession wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that the Union has in this game. And for Orlando, you take it. I mean, these last couple of victories that they got has been some crazy wins, and again, I don't think this is sustainable by any means of necessary in terms of them trying to get themselves back to playoff contention. But hey, I mean, if this is how they, of course, can get wins, maybe in the next couple of games. I mean, you know that phrase "cardiac cats" that Orlando City fans kind of always use with this team because of them scoring late goals all the time. It feels like it's back with this team. I mean, these last 2 wins that they have had, they have definitely used that cardiac cats magic to once again get a massive 3 points in this game against a Union side that, like I said, when you're a bad team, you're not going to get lot of luck. They play well in this one, but their defense not only let them down, but they just couldn't show a bit much better clinical finishing to come all the way back to get the desperate wins that they needed to maybe jump start the season. As of now, they're definitely not jump start their season whatsoever. Now, moving on, in terms of the next match, is the Red Bulls and Columbus. So the goals continue to pour, as we saw in this game between the Red Bulls and Columbus. It was 5 goals that scored. Though I would say that this game, despite the fact that there was a lot of goals, it wasn't because of the fact that there was a lot of crazy chances in this one. Though I will say that Columbus, they fought hard in terms of trying to to come back in this one. They tied it twice in this one, but ultimately Julian Hall exists for the New York Red Bulls. In fact, he scored early from Cal and Forsberg to give the Red Bulls a 1-0 lead. It also was the first shot of the game, and it came off a bad turnover from Columbus. And yeah, how many times we said when you make mistakes at the back and you chop the ball away, yeah, bad things is gonna happen. So yeah, it's 1-0 in favor of the Red Bulls. Frostberg did look for another, but he puts this one over. We then go for a period where not much really happened. We were kind of stuck on 2 shots for a while, but on the third shot of the game and on the first shot for the Columbus Crew, it's in the back of the net as Max Arston would score from Picard and Gomez to give one back for Columbus. And the Red Bulls probably they saw, or actually they didn't. It wasn't one back, but it was the equalizer there for Columbus as well. And I feel like the Red Bulls, they probably saw how Columbus kind of gave the ball away that got them a goal. They were kind of in the given moves because they themselves also commits a bad turnover, and just like Columbus committing bad turnover led to bad things. It's the same thing for the Red Bulls as well. So the game was tied up at 1 apiece. Cal did look to answer, but he was denied by Schulte before Horvat denied Picard from close range. Maria would then puts it high from long range as both of these teams was exchanging some chances. Who can get that lead in that crucial second goal? The answer is the New York Red Bulls, as Julian Hall would score again, this time from Cal and Marshall Ruddy to tie the game up at 2 apiece. So not only the fact that Hall got a brace right now, but K Cal getting on the board twice in the primary assist. This is kind of something thing that we saw him do during his time with the San Jose Earthquakes, and it's great to see that he's doing it. He's gonna look much better now in these last 2 games comparing the beginning where he was a little bit underwhelming during his first couple of games with the New York Red Bulls. But we do head to halftime with the Red Bulls leading 2-1. In the second half, Hall did look to get a hattie, and I thought he would get this. I mean, he was 1v1 with Schulte there, but Schulte, there's been times we see why he's considered to be one of the top 5 goalkeeper in the league. He absolutely robbed Hall there on a 1v1. But then a penalty was given to Columbus as Valencia handballed this one in the box. So here comes Diego Rossi, a chance to bury this one to tie it again for the Crew. And he does exactly that. So we're all level again at 2 apiece in the 64th minute. Rossi himself then looked to trying to get another and look for the lead, but he was denied by Horvat. The momentum was now with Columbus as they're now looking to try to get the lead. Arvston then missed wide from close in the 77th minute, but then in the 79th minute, Julian Hall would complete his hat trick. So he scored here to make it 3-2 in favor of the Red Bulls. I was kind of surprised that this goal wasn't given to Parker because it looked like Tim Parker did kind of took a little bit of a nick after Hall basically hits this one. And if that, of course, is the case, then it, of course, would be given to Parker. But as of now, it still says it's given as a hat trick for Julian Hall. And this won't be the only time where we see a goal that, the scorekeeper maybe have a little difficult decision in terms of who do you give the goals. Do you give a goals to the guy that got the hat trick, or do you give a guy that hasn't scored a goal up to this point? And in this case, they give the benefit to Julian Hall getting the hat trick here to make it 3-2 in this one. But the question is, can they hold on? Because every time the Red Bulls score, Columbus always has an answer. Though Hall did try to turn the lights out in the 81st minute. He looked to try to make it 4-2, and probably his third goal in case if the goal scoring would change to a Tim Parker goal, and Hall of course would get the primary assist. But he missed wide in the 81st minute. Macho would then heads it wide from the corner, and despite the Columbus did put some pressure late in this game, Red Bulls hold on. They get the 3-2 win in this one. The shots in this one, 13 shots for the 12 that Columbus had, 5 shots on goal for the 4 that Columbus had, 5 shots off target for the 4 that the Red Bulls had, 4 shots on blocked for the 2 that Columbus had, and possession-wise, 64% possession compared to 36% possession the Red Bulls has in this game. And what's kind of interesting in this one for the Red Bulls is that it was kind of a combination of them at times showing the good Red Bull side under Michael Bradley, and then there are times where they show that they are the bad Red Bull side under Michael Bradley. It's kind of interesting to see how they show two faces of that, and they're not the only team that I'll talk about this week in the review where they kind of show both sides of the inconsistent form in a single game. But yeah, for the Columbus Crew, it feels like they're going the wrong direction again. Remember that good month that they had in April? Now it seems like the calendar turned to May and it's back to misery, just like what we saw in March as well. Now, moving on in the next match. So it's the battle between the two top team in the Eastern Conference, and in the end, it's Nashville, the one that is able to prevail. And this was also another one of those games where there wasn't really not much to talk about. There was a pretty low amount of shots that happened in this one, but in the end, Nashville continued to show us why, even though they are dealing with injuries and maybe resting some guys, that they can afford to do that because the depth of this team is just absolutely awesome. Though in the first 15 minutes, if you missed the first 15 minutes in this top of the table clash, you didn't miss much. It was kind of a boring start. In fact, for a top of the table Eastern Conference clash, this definitely did not live up to the expectation that many people thought it is. And I guess that kind of makes sense because again, I've been saying that New England, yes, I know they're second in the Eastern Conference, but it feels very fraudulent, isn't it? And I think this game kind of prove that why even though they're second in the East right now, there's a lot of issue that this New England team has right now. The first shot of the game for either of these teams came in the 18th minute when Polster had a header from the corner that was blocked. Turgerman then hits it wide from the free kick before Cooler would hit it right to Shockey in the 29th minute. The shots were 3-1 for New England, and despite some of these half chances for the Revs, they weren't really troubling Shockey that much. But on the 35th minute of what is only the fourth shot of this game and the second for Nashville, they put the ball in the back of the net as Brian Acosta would score his first for Nashville from Espinoza to give Nashville a 1-0 lead. Not long after, they would make it 2-0 as Warren Magical would score here to make it 2-0. And he can thank Matt Turner for this. I mean, this was a rare mistake for Matt Turner, and this is definitely not going to help Matt Turner case. I mean, he's better hope that Pochettino didn't saw this moment because this was not a great moment of him. Just kind of gave it straight to Magical. Magical with how well he's been scoring goals and taking advantage of the minutes that he got because he knows that he's probably not going to get a lot of minutes once Surge does come back from his injury. But yeah, he buries this one. He says thank you very much. I'm just going to take advantage of one of the easiest goal I've ever scored in my career, and just like that, it's 2-0 in favor of Nashville, and I already think, yep, this looks like it's all over because Nashville is not a team that blow leads, and especially with the way that New England is also kind of a team that, yes, I know they have had some comebacks before, but this feels like it's a bridge too far. But we go to halftime with Nashville leading 2-0, but in the second half, some major concern if you're a Nashville fan. So as much as I know I always praise the depth of this Nashville side, it is really being tested right now because another key player for their team looks like he might be done. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to say the A injury because if I say the A injury, then I think Nashville fans will hate me because it's gonna probably be announced that Nahar might be done for the season because of the what injury I just talked about. But it definitely looked like it. I mean, it was a non-contact injury, and normally you might say that you have to blame on the turf at Gillette Stadium once again striking another player with a non-contact injury. But remember, the grass was already they put at Gillette Stadium. So yeah, there's really no. I think those people that has been the artificial turf kind of naysayer. They can't really blame that on the turf this time because of the way that the grass have already put at Gillette Stadium in anticipation of the World Cup. That's gonna start in less than a month. And Lovitz, of course, did replace him. And like I said, let's just hope it's not a serious injury for Nahar. But when he went down with a non-contact injury like that, especially when he was kind of limping off, I mean, I don't want to say it, but it kind of feels like it could be that A injury that could be announced a relatively later. In the 63rd minute, Turgelman would miss wide from long range, but before Quazim would hits it right to Turner in the 66th minute, but then in the 74th minute, Nashville would make it 3-0. And Brian Costa was so happy that he scored his first goal for Nashville, he decided to make a brace in this one. It's not very often you see him scoring a brace, but he scored here from Espinoza again to make it 3-0 in favor of Nashville. It came off of a deflection off of a set piece routine. It's not very often you see a set piece routine from the corner, from the training ground would actually work, but that's exactly what happened here. It's 3-0 in favor of Nashville. You then hits it right to Schwalke in the 87th minute, but in the end, it was a pretty comfortable win for Nashville in this one. They continue to prove why they are the class of the East right now with a 3-0 win. The shots in this one, 8 shots for the 7 that New England has, 2 shots on goal for the 4 that Nashville has. Both teams had 2 shots off target, 3 shots on block for the 7 that Nashville has, and possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that Nashville has in this game. And I don't want to say that New England is definitely on fraud watch after this one because I know there's going to be people that will say that they are definitely on fraud watch after just getting absolutely manhandled by Nashville, but pretty much a lot of teams get manhandled by Nashville this season. But what it does tells me about New England is that they're not ready to compete. I think this team will make the playoffs. I think that they earned enough points, and especially with the way that they have been able to take advantage of beating teams that they should beat. I think that's definitely a recipe to make it into the playoffs. And I do think that they could maybe make a run in the playoffs a little bit, but when they do face against some really good team, I don't know they have enough of the horses to do so. Especially, the big issue why a lot of people say that this New England team is on fraud alert is because of the way that the underlying number does not like them whatsoever. They're way overperforming their expectancy goal. They don't create it too many chances. And these last couple of games, even when they face against bad teams, they have barely been able to get the win, and sometimes have to rely on some late heroics from their stars to do something. And well, they definitely do have some good star players that they can rely on to bail them out. Yeah, you just can't do that every single time, and especially against a really good team like Nashville SC in this one. With that being said, I am actually not just gonna stop the video to switch the board. I'm actually gonna switch the board manually because I do this all the time when I do reviews um, of a video. So let's bring this back, and we're gonna talk about the next game of this midweek action, and hope that the thing doesn't get blurry. Did it get blurry? Nope. Looks like you can still see it perfectly well. But now moving on into the next game, we got Montreal versus the Portland Timbers, and I gotta say, in the end, I think for the Timbers, they would definitely take this point. I mean, I was kind of worried the fact that when this team trailed twice in this game against Montreal, the fact that yes, your typical Phil Neville kind of offset. Though you also could maybe excuse the fact that it is always tough to try to get a resort when you have to travel all the way across the other side of the country on a short rest, and especially the fact that they're not just traveling any part of the country; they're traveling to the furthest part of the east you can get to Montreal in this one. So yeah, I think they'll definitely take the point out of this one. Though early on, Kelsey with the game's first shot, but he missed wide there. And the first shot for Montreal is in the back of net as Danny Rios would score an absolute golazo. Definitely goal of the week contention here from Longstaff to give Montreal a 1-0 lead. Escobar then looked for another, but he hits the side netting before for Halson would heads it right to Temes in the 16th minute. The momentum was definitely with Montreal. They were looking to try to get another. Arivena would then puts it high from close, but then the 21st minute, Kevin Kelsey would score. He's been red hot lately. So he scored here from DaCosta to tie the game up at one apiece. And then looked like Montreal was going to get a, or no, I'm sorry. It looked like the Timbers were about to get a penalty here to take the lead in this one, but they go to VAR to see whether or not if there was a handball that was committed by a Montreal player. There wasn't, so no penalty, of course, given. And I think it was the right call. It was very hard to tell if the ball actually hit one of those Montreal players in the box, so it was inconclusive. So no penalty was given. Carmona would then fires it wide from long range in the 32nd minute. Petrasso would then puts it high from long range as Montreal was feeling it again. They're looking to get the momentum back to them and trying to get the lead back, and they do as Wiki Carmona would score from Longstaff and Rios to retake the lead for Montreal. Vera then trying to make it 3-1, but he puts it over before Pantemis would deny Rios from long range as Montreal was pushing late to try to make it 3-1, and the Timbers, they were kind of holding on a bit, try not to give up another goal to pretty much means that this is kind of a lost cause for them in this one. But we do head to halftime with Montreal with the 1 goal lead. In the second half, Lassiter would have one that was headed wide from close. Or actually, I'm sorry, not Laster. That is Longstaff heads it wide from close range. Laster didn't play in this one. But Montreal definitely was on the front foot again. They're looking to try to pursue for the third goal. Julia then denied Bassett from an overhead kick attempt. That would have been a spectacular goal from Cole Bassett trying to do that series kick attempt. But just a couple of minutes later, he would be on target as he scored here to tie the game up. Actually, originally he wasn't on target because he struck the post. And so many times when I see players hit the post from long range, they don't follow up their shot. And I get it. You know, you must be a little shocked the fact that you hit an absolute right full of an effort and hits off the post. But sometimes you need to follow up your shot, and that's exactly what Cole Bassett did in this play. To be fair, I think he's probably seen that story many times. I remember I used to have an own narrative about Cole Bassett doing his time with the Colorado Rapids, always hitting the post and just being snake bitten because of that. Well, I think he's probably seen it tired of keep hitting the post. So this time he did follow up with a shot, and he was rewarded by that as the game was all tied up at 2 apiece. Streit then trying to answer, but he hits it right to Pantemis before Piet would hit it right to Pantemis in the 88th minute. You don't usually see Samuel Piet put a long range effort there. Montreal definitely pressing hard again to try to get the lead back. The Timbers, they were just clearly holding on to trying to get a point. Pantemis denied Petrasso from close in the 90th minute. Pantemis was big in this game, and he was definitely one of the big reasons why the Portland Timbers get a point out of this game. A very valuable point in this one, considering them travel all the way across the other side of the country on a short rest. Shots in this one, 22 shots with a 15 that the Timbers had, 3 shots on goal with a 6 that Montreal had, 6 shots off target with a 3 that the Timbers had, 6 shots on block with a 7 that Montreal has, and possession-wise, 56% possession compared to 44% possession that Montreal has in this game. And if you're Montreal, this feels like it's a big missed opportunity for you. I mean, coming off a great win that they had against Orlando City, scoring those 2 stoppage time winner, you have a chance to play against a Timber side that, well, I know this is a Timber side that you would think that feel very confident after that 6-0 win against Sporting KC. One, this is a Phil Neville led Timber side, so you know that every good wins that they have will be followed by a dud. And the fact that consider they have to travel all the way across the other side of the country on a short rest, this was an opportunity for Montreal to get all 3 points, and they don't do that. So that's got to be very disappointed in their case, especially when they're facing against a Western Conference team that, for once, is not actually a good Western Conference team. That's once again just shows you the fact that the East continues to have their struggle when they face against a Western Conference team in the interconference matchup itself. Now, moving on in terms of the next match, it's DC and Chicago. And I gotta say, this game could have gone either way. I mean, this was a game where there was a lot of chances for both of these teams, but in the end, Chicago was just more clinical in this one, and they needed this one because the Fire was kind of going the wrong direction these last couple of games. Whereas DC was started to coming back to life again. In the first half, Ziganago with the game's first shot, but he missed wide before Bamba would put it just high from long range, as the Fire was definitely on the front foot, looking to try to get the opener. Peglo would then put it he puts it just high, as that was DC's first shot before Ziganago would miss wide from close. Brady then denied Montano from close, and then Bartlett would miss wide from the corner in the 25th minute. DC started to get into this game. They were definitely pressing to try to get the opener. Hopkins would then hits it right to Brady in the 30th minute, but then in the 41st minute, Baribo would score. On his return from injury, he would score here from Montano to give DC a 1-0 lead. I believe this is the first time that the two striker, Baribo and Montano, combined in the goal scoring and primary assists, so that's definitely great to see if you're a DC fan, and it's been coming too because they've been putting a lot of pressure. Their pressure finally paid off of them getting a 1-0 lead. Ziganago did look to answer, but he was denied by Johnson in the front post. But we do head to halftime with DC leading 1-0 in this one. In the second half, Montano would hit it right to Brady before Brady tipped Montano long range chip over. I mean, that was a powerful strike there from Luis Montano. I'm shocked that he even tried to do that. I mean, that's kind of the only type of player that I've seen ever score from that range was that time where remember he scored that crazy volley goal that gave the lead for LAFC and kind of conclude just a Hollywood script of an El Trafico that we saw in this one. I thought Montano was going to do it again in this one too. Although this one wasn't really from volley, it was more of a long range snipe. DC kind of picked up where they left off. They were now looking to try to get another, but instead, really kind of against the run of plays, Chicago would respond as Robin Lod would score from Zinchenko and Davila to tie the game up at one apiece. I mean, it's been pretty great to see that these last 2 weeks I've seen a lot of my favorite Loons player, of course, able to score. It's a shame the fact that they're no longer with Minnesota United, especially as well. About this game in just a bit, I'm pretty sure they wish that they still have some of their former players to help them out on the attack end. But always put a smile on my face when Robin Lod scored here. He scored from the header as well. Don't recall a lot of goals that Robin Lod has scored with Minnesota has come from the header, and especially with him kind of wearing that mask as well. I was kind of surprised that he was able to score there too. But he scored here from Zinchenko and Davila to tie the game up at one apiece. For those that wonder why Robin Lod was wearing the mask, in the last game he got kicked in the face and he had a black eye as well. So that's exactly why he's had to wear the mask there. But yeah, that ties the game up at one apiece. And then just 8 minutes later, Chicago would have a chance to take the lead as a penalty was given to them after Puso was brought down by Markovic. So here comes Zinchenko, a chance to bury this one. He usually is very short fire from the spot, but Johnson says no because Sean Johnson have shown before that he's been able to make some big save from the spot. But unfortunately, what happened here was there was a chaotic sequence after Johnson makes the save, and Zinchenko was just kind of in the right place in the right time to tap it in. So yeah, just like that, it's 2-1 in favor of Chicago. That's kind of what happened when you're a good team, and when Zinchenko he's been having a lot of good luck in front of goal. That's always going to happen. Puso was then in on goal there, but he was absolutely robbed by Johnson in the 76 minutes. So as much as I say Brady makes a big save in this one, both goalkeeper actually had a pretty good game, even though they did concede some goal. Johnson himself was also having a pretty good game as well. Though on the other end, Brady would deny Strauss from close in the 79th minute, but then the 87th minute, Haile Selassie pretty much put the lights out at Audi Field, scoring this third crucial goal to make sure it secure all 3 points for the Fire. Johnson didn't make the save here, but he did kind of give up a rebound. This might be the only goal I can say that maybe either of these goalkeeper probably should have done better. And Haile Selassie was in the right place, right time to pounce on it. And just like that, it's 3-1 in favor of the Fire. Goodman then looked for four, but he missed just wide in the first man stoppage time. And in the end, Chicago Fire, they needed this one badly. They were kind of going on a bit of a slump in these last couple of games on a 3-game losing streak in all competition. But that is now over with them getting the 3-1 win against DC. The shots in this one, 15 shots compared to 12 that DC had, 7 shots on goal for the 8 that Chicago has, 1 shots off target for the 5 that the Fire has, 1 shot that was blocked compared to the 3 that DC had, and possession-wise, the Fire had more of the possession, 57% possession compared to the 43% possession that DC has in this game. So yeah, for DC, I know it's going to be very frustrated that they lost this one at home, but I didn't think they played bad. I thought they played good in this one. Consider they're playing against one of the better teams in the East. I think this was a pretty good showing for DC, and the only problem for them is they just didn't show their clinical finishing in this one. And how many times we said that of course is the case. Yeah, you're probably not going to win a lot of games because their opposition is always going to be more clinical. Now, moving on in terms of the next match. So this turns out to be the highest scoring game of the night, even though there were definitely some high score game as well. And I think no one is surprised that this was high scoring. Like honestly, if I did my preview today talking about all these games, and I once again will be a jinx by saying that I guarantee this game will have goals. Even if I said that, I had a feeling that as much as it's been kind of a jinx this year, it's probably not going to be the case because what is one thing that we know coming into this game that makes this game to just go completely off the rails and be a goal scoring barrage? Both of these teams have good attack. Both of these teams also can defend. So as a result, that's where you get an 8 goal thriller that we saw in this game between Cincinnati and Miami. Now early on, that goal scoring barrage looked like it already started in the 4th minute when Messi put it into the back net. Problem was the flag did not agree with him there, so the goal was chopped off for offside. But there was no doubt that Miami, they looked the better side early on, and that was a warning sign for Cincinnati because that back line, man, oh man, if that's how bad that back line is gonna be, and let Messi with a free range shot like that, they're gonna be in for a pretty long night. Spoiler alert, they would be in for a long night either way. Evander then went beast mode here, but he puts a weak effort wide in the 6 minute. Something tells me he was kind of still warming up because if that happened, maybe in the 60th minute, he probably would have buried it with how hot he's been. Denke would then miss wide from close. Inside, he definitely started to control this game and create a couple of half chances. Though on the other end, the post would deny Bright on the header in the 18th minute, and then Segovia would hit one into the stands. As now the shots were 4-2 for Cincinnati. Miami looked like they started to get the momentum back, and they would score in the 24th minute. As this time the flag did not disallow Messi here. He buries this one. I mean, it wouldn't even be offside because this was just an absolute gift from this Cincinnati back line. I mean, Miazga trying to clear this one away. He didn't realize that Messi was in the vicinity, so he just gave it right to the goal. Yeah, when you give it right to the goal is not going to miss. So just like that, it's 1-0 in favor of Miami. Buka then looked to respond, but he missed one in the 26th minute. But then a penalty was given to Cincinnati. Luan brought down Denke in the box. Yes, I know there's going to be some people that say that is soft, but at the end of the day, that we seen before where if you put your hands on an attacker, you are basically having a lot putting a lot of risk because that attackers will just feel any sort of contact and he will just go down, and more times or not the referee's going to point to the spot. So that's exactly what happened here. And here comes Kevin Denke, who won the penalty. He gets a chance to bury it, and he does. So the game was all tied up at one apiece. Though to be fair, Dane Sinclair almost got to it. It wasn't actually the best penalty from Kevin Denke, and Dane Sinclair read that one perfectly. Just could not quite keep it out. So yeah, for Cincinnati and for their leading talisman, probably very fortunate the fact that he was just about able to convert, and the game was tied up at one apiece. Messi then looked to response, but he missed wide on the header before Betarame puts it wide off after just some chaos in the Cincinnati box. But we do head to halftime with the score tied up at one apiece, and if you thought that the action hasn't been crazy enough, get ready to see what happened in the second half because this is when the goals really started to come in the second half. It started in the 50th minute as Pavel Buka would score from Ramirez and Denke to make it 2-1 in favor of Cincinnati. Just some champagne soccer there from Cincinnati. Cincinnati kind of showing Miami and kind of giving them a little taste of their own medicine of how to play some uh some champagne soccer. Messi, though, he did look to respond on the free kick, but he hits it right to Celtano. But in the 55th minute, he would respond again. I'll tell you what, Messi, he just loved playing against Cincinnati, doesn't it? He did very well in that playoff game as well, and he is definitely haunting Cincinnati again with another brace here from DePaul and Suarez to tie the game up at two apiece. And I mean, buckle up, boys and girls. So I guarantee that's not the last goal we're gonna see. With the way how open this game is and defense being optional at time, there was no way that was the last goal of the game up to this point. Messi would then look for a hat trick, but just couldn't quite connect it with the outstretched leg before Suarez had a shot that was deflected and hits off the post. It came off a WTF turnover there from Cincinnati, and if it wasn't for the post, that should have been 3-2 in favor of Inter Miami. But instead, just a couple of minutes later, Cincinnati would make it 3-2 in this game as Evander would score from Denke to make it 3-2 in favor of Cincinnati. You knew Evander is going to have some say in this game. I mean, he's just too good in these last couple of games to not have a say in such a big game like that. And while it was a vintage Evander strike where he basically struck this one from the top of the 18-yard box, where in the world was the closing down? I mean, you would have think that literally right now the most dangerous guy shooting from the top of the arc and with how hot Evander has been, you would have thought that maybe someone would think about even closing him down or even maybe double team him. But there was no closing down whatsoever. They basically let Evander just kind of walk down Broadway to shoot that. So I'm not surprised that Evander would bury that one. So yeah, Cincinnati was leading in this one again. There was a shout for a penalty for Miami not given. Mikel then hits it over from the corner, but then the 79th minute, Miami would make it free as Savetti would score from Messi to tie the game up at 3 apiece, and it didn't take long for them to take the lead in the 84th minute as Betarame, for one of the rare times able to to put the ball into the back net. And this one, there was no way he was missing this one. And we talk about the Cincinnati defense of being really just absolutely awful. It is hard to believe that they are actually now about to catch up to Orlando City in terms of the most goal concede in the Eastern Conference. And this is why I said earlier we could be seeing the case where not only there's going to be teams that's going to broke the record that the Quakes set a couple of years ago with 75 goals conceded, which is the most than any team in a single season, but we're going to see multiple teams maybe able to break that. I mean, we're not even what actually we just passed like a third of the season, but we're already seeing teams giving up 30 plus goal. I mean, they're already on verge of giving up 90 plus goals, and who to say that Cincinnati might not be that team, because my goodness, the defense of this team has just been absolutely horrendous. And here this is pretty much just a this moment kind of sums up as it is, as both Celentano and Chirela, they didn't communicate with each other. They collide with each other when Celentano was about to get to it. And as a result, miscommunication caused the ball pop free, and it was an empty net for Betterame to shoot. I guarantee if Betterame missed that chance, I don't think he will ever play a single minute for Inter Miami again. But he does bury that one to make it 4-3 in this one. And then in the 88th minute, Miami will make sure that this game is all said and done, because again, you never know with a one go game, especially what we see with Inter Miami lately. You don't want to take that chance, and they do make it 5-3. Originally, this was actually given as a hat trick for Lionel Messi, but it took a while. But after the game, they did change this to an own goal. I mean, it did hit off the post. I think it did take a slight deflection off of Celtano and it goes in. But I was kind of surprised they changed that, because with the league, how they always cherish Messi and all sort. I would have thought that Don Gabber probably put a gun in the scorekeeper head and say, "Don't you dare change that to an own goal, because we want the Messi propaganda to continue." And the scorekeeper, it doesn't seem like he's mind that as well. And as we speak, don't know if the scorekeeper survived that threat that Don Gabber trying to put. But yeah, still it was 5-3 up to this point. Echenike trying to make it 5-4, but he puts it high from close range. But yeah, in the end, Miami does get a win in this one. This feels like a very normal Miami wins, because it feels like every single game there's always crazy shenanigans in this one. The shots in this one, 16 shots with a 10 that Cincinnati has. Both teams had 3 shots on goal. 4 shots off target with a 5 that Miami has. 4 shots was blocked with a 3 that Cincinnati has. And possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that Inter Miami has in this game. And I'm pretty sure of all the people that likes to see crazy games and like to see goals. I can't wait to see when those people are thinking when's the next game between Inter Miami versus Cincinnati, because I guarantee you when the return leg between both of these teams at New Stadium, it's going to be a very similar score line. That is if both teams doesn't fix their defense, because I think coming out of this game, even though I know once again Miami will be happy that they got a win, the issue still hasn't solved with this team. Their defense is still absolutely all awful, and it's 3 more goals next to their name. But they can also thank the fact that Cincinnati themselves also is not good defensively, and the fact that when it comes to high end talent, as much as Cincinnati does have some good high end talent, in the end Messi is just a little bit better, and that's kind of the difference in this one. Now moving on into the last game on this board, it's Minnesota and the Colorado Rapids. So remember a couple of weeks ago when Minnesota got that big come from behind win against Columbus, and for most teams, after you get a big win like this and you get a chance to play at home in in 3 out of the next 4, that's usually feels like it's a great feeling. That means that you are on the verge of making a run. But then you get to Minnesota United. And what is one of the things that has really frustrates me about the Loons the last couple of years, and it feels like here we go again with the way that I'm seeing it again in the year of 2026, they simply cannot win home games. I mean, this is a tale as old as the time in these last couple of years, that I just do not know what is going on with this team when it comes to not being able to win home games. And it's the exact same kind of thing that got me frustrated in the Austin game as well, where the finishing was just not there. And now I'm actually kind of a little concerned. You know how I jokingly said the fact that maybe Minnesota might maybe be changing their minds of hoping to keep James around for the rest of the season. Well, I don't think that's a joke anymore. I mean, after this game, especially when he subbed off, this is very concerning. The fact that once Hamas does decided to not come back to Minnesota, and it seems like there's a chance that that exactly is going to happen. Man, oh man, what's going to happen to this attack? I mean, this attack they look lost out there in these last couple of games when Hamas is not on the pitch. In the first half, Pereira would hits it right to Hansen as that was the first shot of the game. Aronson would then puts it wide from long range as that was Colorado's first shot. Minnesota actually had most of the possession earlier as Colorado was just kind of happy to sit back. There was a half-hearted shout for a penalty for Minnesota not given. Diaz would then hits it right to Hansen before Pereira would miss wide after Colorado turned the ball away in their own half, and they were very lucky not to get punished because of it. But in the 26th minute, it would be the Rapids that gets the opening goal as Navarro would score from Aronson and Ronan to give the Rapids a 1-0 lead. And while that was a great through ball, and this is kind of what Paxton Aronson can do, and we know the potential that he has, that was not great defending from the Loons whatsoever. You simply just cannot allow Aronson that much space to play a through ball like that. It was just way too easy. And one of the few times we've seen this Minnesota backline being that awful, because for the most part of this season, this Loons backline has been really solid. But yeah, just like that, they went down 1-0 in this one. James didn't look to respond, but he struck the post from long range. Imagine if that went in. I mean, that would have been a great way, sending off what could be his final game in a Minnesota United jersey. And then not long after, Marcanic looked to do the same thing, and he hits the post. So I'm immediately thinking, yep, it's one of those games, isn't it, for the Loons, just not being able to finish. How many times I've seen that with this team. Diaz would then flash it wide from the corner in the 37th minute before Aronson had a shot that was deflected right to counter, and we do head to halftime with the Rapids leading 1-0 in this one. In the second half, our Marcanic looked like he made it 1-1 in this one. Problem was the flag did not agree with him there. It was actually an offside on the development of play. There was a shout for a handball for Minnesota, not given not long after. Then in the 63rd minute, this is the curtain call. It seems like this may be the last time we're gonna see James Rodriguez in a Minnesota United jersey. We'll see how things, of course, is. All signs are pointing that that's probably is gonna be the case. As now he's gonna be departing with Colombia for the World Cup. But yeah, as I said, after he left, this is when the Loons pretty much lost all their ability to go forward. I mean, they just couldn't create anything whatsoever in the second half. And what's even more frustrating is the fact that it's not like they're playing against one of the best defensive team in the league. They're playing against the Colorado Rapids. I mean, no offense to the Colorado Rapids. The Rapids have had their issue this season defensively, especially on the road. So the fact that they just completely shut down this Loons team, I definitely didn't see that coming, but as I said, this does makes me really concerned. The fact that before I said it's a joke, the fact that maybe Minnesota might have second thoughts of keeping James, but now I feel like they probably should do it. Consider without him, it seems like this team just kind of look clueless going forward on the attack. Shunkalai would then put it into the wonder wall on the free kick before Yoboa would miss wide on the doorstep of goal. It's been a rough last couple of days for Calvin Yoboa. I mean, Calvin Yoboa this season, he's been kind of really creating a civil war in the Loons fan base with the way that there's some fans have defended him, the fact that he is still the top goal scorer of this team, but then there are always going to be some naysayer in the fan base are saying yes, but he's been missing chances left, right, and center, and he's kind of a very anemic number 9 right now on this team, and these last couple of days kind of show the frustrating side of Calvin Yoboa, missing the two penalty kick attempt against Austin, and then in this one having some good chances as well, especially in the first half, not able to bury yet. And I thought after that chance, I'm just thinking, yeah, it's not happening. The Loons are not going to score a goal in this one. Aronson would then puts it wide from close range. There was definitely a check for a potential handball late in the game, even before the final whistle was sounded, but there was nothing in that. So yeah, in the end, the Colorado Rapids. This does not happen very often, but they do get a win on the road. It feels very smash and grab as well, because when you look at the attempt in this one, the Rapids, they didn't really do much on the attack game. They had that one good chance and they took advantage of it. Because look, in terms of the shots, 12 shots committed, just 5 that the Rapids had. 2 shots on goal for both of these teams, 4 shots off target, but 2 that the Rapids had. 1 shot that was blocked with the 2 that Minnesota has, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that the Colorado Rapids has in this game. And I gotta say, there's got to be a lot of concern with this Loons team, with the way that, again, it just feels like it's deja vu all over again, where for whatever reason, I just don't understand why this team simply cannot win at home. And some might say it's maybe due to the style. Well, the style that Cam Knowles have been doing for the most part this season has been successful in terms of them having more of the ball. And in the last couple of weeks, we have seen them having more of the ball and at times still being able to break down their opponent. These last couple of games, that's just not been the case. It just feels like they're back to their old habits of relying heavily on set pieces, and when that doesn't go for them, yeah, the goals basically will run dry. And if Hamas is not running the show, I mean, yeah, and this also kind of goes back to what I always so said about Joaquin Pereira as well. What a disappointing start of the season it's been for Joaquin Pereira. I mean, I know he did get the goal in the last game, but he is supposed to be the talisman of this team, and for the most part, he just have not delivered whatsoever. These last couple of games has really been some of the worst game I've seen under him, and like I said, this is a huge concern with this team in terms of how things going. I think in this summer there's got to be some moves that they have to make, because Cam Knowles can only do so much with this team if the quality is not there for this team, and we'll see whether or not if they of course will do it. But for the Rapids, like I said, it wasn't a pretty win. I don't know if this game will change my opinions of the fact that maybe they've turned things around on the road. I think they're just pretty lucky they're facing against a Minnesota team that has no answer in front of goal, because if they face any other good opponent in the West, they probably would have lost this game and then some. But either way, that's pretty much it for the review of the first part of this midweek action. I believe it's match week 13, if I'm not mistaken. Tomorrow, of course, we will be looking at the last 6 game that is, and that includes some surprising result. And I believe this is also the first week where both of my team actually ends up on the losing end. I knew this was eventually going to happen, and I always kind of feel a little frustrated when I see both of my team lose in a week. But with the way that both my team at times have been having some good luck, especially I think around that April time, there was like a stretch where they both of my team was keep winning every single week. So I feel like it was kind of due the fact that both of my team is going to go through a little bit of a funk period, and it kind of feel like that maybe is the case, though for different reason. That is, as I'll talk about tomorrow with the Quakes suffering only their second loss of the season, and ironically against the same opponent that they lost their first game of the season as well. But there you have it. That is pretty much it, as I said, for the review of part number 1 of match week number 13, looking at these midweek action. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of these games. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.